turtles again. Pretty cool. I guess this is a good turtle spot. Anyway, today I think is the day where I lose my YouTube monetization. Hopefully the good news means there won't be any more commercials before my videos, which is good. So I wanted to do a video on basically like the Nissan Leaf battery and stuff, because that's what I've had experience with. Of course, I've only had one car for a little less than a year, so it's not like I've had multiple models to test or anything. But yeah, basically the reason I got such a good deal on my car is because the used electric car market was a new development. Like, electric cars have only been out since about 2011 in any kind of large numbers. Like, obviously 100 years ago or something they started out with electric cars, and then the gas ones won out, and then they tried them on and off time and time again, and the EV1 made a kind of nice little run for its money for a couple years in the 90s. And then it wasn't until maybe 2009 or something that they started kind of going for it again, and by 2011 the first Nissan Leaf came out and had kind of more success than like the iNev and a lot of the other ones that had been doing some groundbreaking stuff. So when I got my car in 2017, it was only 4 years old, and it had only been about 6 years since electric cars had really kind of been coming out in any kind of mass. And so the market was pretty new. And because they have lithium-ion batteries, and that's what we have in cell phones too, people were putting two and two together and thinking, well man, my cell phone, it gets to a point and that battery's just junk. I charge it and it loses its charge super fast. I don't want to get a car that does that same thing. And so it led to rapid depreciation in value. And that's how I was able to get my electric car, because when they first came out, I think they were like 40 grand, and by the time I got mine, you could get a used one for under 10 grand, and you could find them for under 15 grand all over the place. So anyway, battery technology keeps getting better, and like on the Teslanomics YouTube channel, Ben put in on the data showing the Teslas, and even some of these Teslas that have over 200,000 miles still have over 95% capacity on their batteries. So a lot of the batteries are really good. However, Nissan's infamous for not having a thermal management system for the battery, and so theirs kind of depreciate more rapidly, but they're not as bad as people fear they would be, but they're definitely not as good as the other companies. So basically, like, one of the things they did to alleviate people's fears, they put like a guarantee, and if your like battery range went down to 8 bars or lower before you hit 60,000, they would replace the battery for you. So that helped somewhat. And then as their technology got better and stuff, I think they threw that guarantee to 100,000 miles. Anyway, my own personal experience with my Leaf is I bought it, it had 11 bars on the battery, but just like 2 or 3 weeks after I got it, it dropped down to 10. And that signifies that I only had about 78.75% of my original capacity remaining on my battery. So I pretty much had 79% capacity when I got the car, and now it's almost a year later. I drove the car off the lot on March 1st, and it's February 20th right now. And the last few times I charged, I did the math, and I have just over 75% capacity on my battery. So the bad news is I lost almost 4%, not quite, but over 3.5% in just a year. But the good news is that's slower than it was before I got it. Like, whoever got it knew in over 4 years they only drove the car 18,700 miles, and they'd only had it 4.5 years or whatever, and they had managed to lose over 20% of the battery. So that's over 5% a year, and they weren't driving very much at all. I mean, do the math. Like 18,700 miles, they weren't even getting 5,000 miles a year. That's not even 100 miles a week. So they weren't driving very much at all, and they were losing over 5% battery every year. That's pretty bad. I'm still losing battery kind of fast at 3.5% a year, but it's better. And I drive more than they do. I still don't drive a lot, but I drive a lot more than 5,000 miles a year. Well, not a lot more, but percentage-wise, like I probably drive like 7,500 to 8,000 miles a year, which is still really, really low mileage, but I live on a little island, that's why. And I think the reason why I'm not losing my battery as quickly as whoever had the car before me is because of my lifestyle and my routine. I don't drive as much as most people, but neither do the people that had the car before me. But I have my car's under my carport most of the time, so it's in the shade. And then most of the time when I'm driving, I'm going to the mall for the Kung Fu school, and I'm in the mall parking structure, which is also in the shade. So it's not in the tropical sun very much, since it doesn't have a thermal management thing. I think the heat is just bad on the batteries. So I'm in the sun sometimes, but I'm pretty lucky. I normally find parking spots in the shade and stuff, and I take them because I know that the sun's probably not good for the batteries. So I go out of my way if I can to find a shady spot. I used to not care. And so I think that's why I don't lose battery life as fast. And so you've probably heard it said when trying to get an electric car, always make sure you have at least 50% more range than your daily routine. Not like for an exceptional theme, like when families come and you're gonna drive around more or you're gonna take a long trip, but like your day-to-day stuff, if it's like a commuter car, like try to get 50% more range than you plan to use on a daily basis, and preferably twice as much range. Like for me, that would work out to just 40 miles. That's most days I only drive 40 miles or less. So if I got a car that only had 60 miles range, it would work for me. And if I have a car that had 80 miles or more, that would be ideal. And that happens to be the circumstances I'm in right now. So some good news is, basically I only have 18 kilowatts of power on my battery, which is really small. And yet I'm still doing all the stuff I'm doing with my car. I'm still getting 80 miles per charge and able to just charge it a couple times a week. And like there's times I go by free chargers and I don't even use them because I'm more than charged up for what I need to do. So it's pretty cool if you can do that off 18 kilowatts, how good these bigger batteries are gonna work out. And so I'm really excited about the long range Tesla Model 3s with their 75 kilowatt batteries and EPA of 310 miles range. The nice thing about the EPA range here is I think they test it pretty hard. I think if you just drive a car like a normal car, it's pretty much what you'll be getting. Like most of us who have these cars drive better. Like me, I only have 18 kilowatts and I'm almost getting the same range as my car was set on the EPA when it had the full 24 kilowatts. So you can make up that difference just by paying attention to stop signs and when the light turns green, and that way you don't have to accelerate and decelerate as quickly, and just by being attentive and not being so hard on the car, the range is a lot better. So anyway, I just thought I'd share a little bit about that. I thought you might find it interesting, and I hope you enjoyed this beautiful little beach here.